Turn off your lights, put on your headphones, and get ready for one of the scariest stories you'll ever hear. If you ever find a doll outside your door, don't touch it, because once it chooses you, it never lets you go. This is a story of Lababo, the cursed doll. 3 friends lived together in an old, quiet apartment building. Kareem, Sami, and Rami. The building was almost eerily silent. Most of the neighbors had already moved out, leaving behind a strange emptiness. One night, returning home, they stumbled upon a small, plain wooden box placed right in front of their door. There was no name, no note, no explanation, just a single, ominous sentence carved into the lid. Do not open, no matter what. Of course, their curiosity got the best of them. They took it inside, broke the seal, and lifted the lid. Inside the box was a small doll. It had a pale, porcelain face with a cracked, painted smile. Its eyes were made of pitch black glass that seemed to absorb the light. Stitched onto her simple dress, in a stark red thread, was a single name, Lababo. They all laughed it off, assuming it was a prank from one of their other friends. But later that night, the laughing stopped. The first night belonged to Sami. He woke up in the middle of the night, feeling a strange sense of being watched. He sat up and saw the doll, Lababo, standing at the edge of his bed. He was certain he'd left her in the living room. Thinking it was a joke from Kareem or Rami, he rolled his eyes, put the doll on his nightstand, and tried to go back to sleep. But then he heard it, a soft, rhythmic sound. Tap, 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 tiny footsteps pattering on the wooden floor. His heart pounded as he slowly opened his eyes. The doll was on his chest, staring down at him, smiling. And her eyes, they were no longer glass. They were alive, and they were looking right into his soul. The next morning, Sami was gone. There was no sign of a struggle, no scream heard in the night. It was as if he had simply vanished into thin air. The only trace left behind was a few strands of his dark hair, clenched tightly in the doll's tiny, unmoving hand. The second night, it was Kareem's turn. Uneasy and terrified, he locked himself in his room, hoping to keep whatever was happening out. As he stood in the silence, he heard a faint giggle. It was high-pitched, childlike, but chillingly inhuman. His blood ran cold. He forced himself to look. Slowly peering under his bed, Labobo's face stared back at him from the shadows, her smile stretched wider than before, her eyes darting back and forth. Suddenly, the lights in the room flickered and died. The bedroom door slammed shut with a deafening bang. Kareem's screams echoed through the apartment, but they lasted for only a minute, and then silence. Another roommate had vanished. Now, only Rami was left. He was completely panicked. He ran out of the apartment, banging desperately on the neighbors' doors, screaming for help, but no one answered. It was as if the entire building was completely empty, a ghost town, defeated. He stepped back into his dark, silent apartment, and that's when he heard it. A soft, sing-song voice whispering from the living room. "Rami, it's your turn." A faint, ghostly glow illuminated the room, revealing Lababo sitting on a chair. In her lap, she was holding two things, a piece of Sami's favorite shirt and Kareem's silver necklace. Rami turned and ran for the front door, his only hope of escape. But just as he reached for the handle, the door slammed shut in his face, the deadbolt clicking into place on its own. The lights flickered violently, and in a split-second flash, he saw her. Lababo was standing right behind him, her smile stretched so wide that the porcelain around her mouth was tearing. The lights went out for the last time. A final, terrified scream. And then, nothing. The next morning, the police were called to investigate the silent apartment. They found it empty. No bodies, no blood, No signs of a break-in. The only thing out of place was a doll, sitting peacefully in the middle of the living room floor, her cracked smile fixed in place, and scrawled on the floorboards next to her, written in what looked like dried blood, were three simple words: "Who's next?"